and get started this morning. We've got four or five bills here we want to bring out. First on the list is derelict vessel remover procedures. This bill number 2076. We have a committee substitute. Does everyone have that? I think so. Give y'all a chance to read over that a certain. What this does is the cities and the counties working in conjunction with DMR can remove derelict vessels. Bipotash, some of y'all going over that bridge, you see that white sailboat's been sitting there for 2 years since Ida. This would give them the right to go and remove that eyesore. And then of course, after the storms, working with the folks, okay, you got to move your boats. Let's move them out of the way. So this is something that's come to us, and I'll open it up to questions. Yes, sir. Senator Delano, turn your button on. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I know we've had these issues over in Harrison County before. Since General Spraggins is here, may I direct a question to him?
That's all I want you to ask.
Will this handle the issues that we've dealt with over, or will this help you and or the county with the issues that we've had in Harrison County with some of the derelict boats that we've had discussions about in the past?
Yes, it will. What it allows us to do, it changes some of the wording, and it's not just derelict, it's abandoned, or we have other definitions in there. And also what we'll do is, like some of the boats that have been sitting in a place for 15 years that are moored out in the middle but not causing any problem, we can move those now. We can have a reason to do it. And before, all we were able to do if it was impeding a waterway or leaking some type of fuel. Now we can go and help the cities, the counties, and everybody else. And the cities and counties aren't going to have the funds to do what needs to be done that we could help them do. And we will be there, and our hands were tied before.
And with respect to funding, is there any, obviously there's no money in this bill, but do you have monies that are available from other sources than the state that can help with that? We do.
Matter of fact, we're putting in for a NOAA grant and to be able to do it. We also, we use some of the Tidelands funds to be able to do it. And one of the things that I've talked to the senators and the House members about is possibility of putting a seed fund in and making basically just a fund that says derelict vessels and everything that, we use some of that to take it out. And then any money that comes back in, federal or anything else, goes into that pot. And so it can be utilized for it.
Thank you, General. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Ingram. Get a little closer. The cord's too short.
That's not the first one that's happened, Chairman. Fortunately, I didn't turn my microphone on before I got that one in. And again, this is just for General Spraggins. The derelict vessels, when you guys remove them, or when you will remove them, I'm assuming these will just find their way out to be fishing reefs, most likely, or will you guys actually sell used parts and whatever not to make up? What happens to them when you move them?
Most of them are destroyed because they're fiberglass or some form, and they're not able to be used for a reef. They're not big enough. One of the things that we want to do also is to establish an area, especially one in each county, to where we could, if a boat is okay and that's a usable boat, and it just somebody just doing it like the situation, I think Senator Delano knows what I'm talking about, where the ones there, we can move them to that area and just move them there and have them in a storage area and let them store them for X amount of time, and then give a person a chance to come pay the bill and get them out and move them properly. So, but the majority of them are in such bad shape that they're just destroyed.
Okay, and so I know that this is obviously a problem in Jackson County as well, and I know that we've got some in St. Martin, just boats that have ended up washing up from one place or the other after a hurricane or a big storm. If the boat is on private property, does that matter? I mean, you guys can still go remove them as long as the counties go through the proper.
Yeah, as long as we go through it, we'll still have to go to court and get an order to go ahead and move a boat that is, but we can go to that private property and move it for them. And we can remove it. We can, under this bill, we can remove it most anywhere in the world, any part of the water or any part of the land. And some of it just and like give you an instance, and Biloxi, right by the small craft harbor there. There's a sailboat or something that's been sitting there since I guess 2 storms ago.
Right.
And we can't touch it because it's beach and it's about halfway filled up with sand and everything else. But we can't touch it. And but if we had this bill passed, we could.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Senator Lano, you had a comment.
Yeah, just for the attorneys. Just for the attorneys in the room, question is there, do we give the state or DMR immunity for moving these vessels that have been properly, where the owners have been properly notified that that the boat has been declared derelict or abandoned? Is there something that we do to prevent someone trying to come back in the state and say that we've ruined their, you know, their retirement plan or something like that? Y'all know?
I think the Tort Claims Act will take care of that. Is it correct, Bob?
Bryce, is that right?
The Tort Claims Act.
Okay.
That immunity already exists, similar to like a police officer working in his scope.
Just want to make sure that we don't put our officers in a position where they end up getting drug into court over something that we're doing here. So that's fine. Thank you.
One quick question. I know the idea was for the cities to have the ability to be able to, cities and counties to remove the boats. What this does, and if they come to you with a request, City of Bay St. Louis, City of Ocean Springs, wherever, and say, okay, we got a boat we want to remove. You all will work with them, or y'all work in conjunction to move this boat, or how's this?
We would definitely do that. And one that rings a bell to me is Pascagoula this last couple of years. Pascagoula's had a hard time. They didn't have the funds to do it. We couldn't give them the authority because we couldn't go do it. We worked with them and said, hey, we will give you the information. We'll ticket the boat. We'll go ahead and put a sticker on it. We'll do anything else. But because of the rules, we couldn't move it. And now we could for them.
So now if Pascagoula comes and says, hey, I have certain boat here, here, and here, together, y'all can get it removed.
As long as we can have the funds
Okay,
to do it.
that was my question. Senator Wiggins had a question.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everybody. That was the reason I filed it in the city of Pascagoula, and what their request was, look, if DMR can't do it, we just want to be able to do it. And I just want to make sure, look, I'm all for the committee sub, but it's certainly different. I just want to make sure that the cities have the authority, if they so choose, to be able to go remove a derelict vessel.
They could
not stopping that because for the reason.
It would be the same procedures. They would just come to us and say, hey, we're going to move it.
Well, but that's what I'm trying to get at. That what I was being requested for this bill was that the city itself take on that obligation because they're being told or can't, or whatever, the DMR can't do it. And I guess what my question is, if we're doing this, is that they're still going to have to go to DMR to make it happen.
Well, sir, by the way it's written, you have to put a sticker on the boat of some sort. And you have to put it in there to tell the person that whoever owns this, that we're going to give you 5 to 7 days. I think there's 7 days. And if you don't respond back to us by that time, then we will take it to the court and say, court, would you allow us to do it? And the court still has to give us permission to go forward and remove that derelict vessel. And at that point, we could say, city, if you want to move it, fine. Or if you want us to move it, fine. And the way here, if the funds were put in there to do what we're talking about and we were able to keep it, then we could save that city that money and we could just go move it immediately for them.
Plus there may be federal monies to
it may be. And
next, my question is, if we pass as the committee sub, which I'm fine with, is the city of Pascagoula or Biloxi or somebody going to come back and go, you know what, we still can't get it moved. And DMR is telling us that there's no way to do it.
Under this one, that they will, I mean, unless the court tells us we can't move it, that would be the only way.
Okay.
That would be the only thing. I can't do.
That way we got federal money involved. Right?
Can I make one to your point? So the issue right now is that the current statute, the definition of derelict is so tightly defined that courts, that the DMR has not been able to get a court order to remove some vessels that aren't, impeding navigation. This broadens the definition of derelict and makes it a little bit and sets forth the notice provisions in the process for DMR to be able to remove vessels. It keeps the jurisdiction within DMR, but it makes it easier for them to get that permission from the court.
Go ahead, John.
Yes, sir. And just for the rest of the members, we followed the one I think that you look that y'all are using as a proposal. It's part of Florida. Florida put together a great operation to do this, and we kind of married up with Florida on a lot of their information. So this is working great in the state of Florida, and that it would I think it would work great in the state of Mississippi.
Okay. So the city still have the ability to request it, work with you all, and do it if nothing, no action's taken.
And if we didn't have any funds for any reason, then the city had them, we'd say go for it.
Go for it. Okay, good deal. Senator Seymour?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm thinking the 4 weeks that you're talking here as far as dedicating us being abandoned, and in the relation that you're talking about a hurricane or a national disaster, a disaster declaration gives immunity for a certain amount of time. Or, I mean, when you've lost your house, the vote is kind of secondary, but I mean, there's a financial issue here that might not be need to be readdressed as far as the timing of it.
But you mentioned something very key there. You said 4 weeks. In 4 weeks' time, if you hadn't moved your boat, you're not really interested in moving a boat. I mean, that's my
You
thought.
already got your house. What priority to get the family thing?
I understand.
That's all my.
General?
Sir, I can tell you that at a time of disaster, we're not going to have time in 4 weeks to move them all. And you know, at a time of disaster, we're gonna be working on a lot of other things, and the only ones they will be dealt with according to what is impeding a waterway or something to that effect, or unless it's leaking fuel, or if it has some type of you know, oil or something leaking out of it. We're not going to be able to get to it that quick, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that the person has the right to get that boat before we have to do
Senator
it.
Wiggins, any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient.
Title sufficient, committee sub. Senator Wiggins, title sufficient, do pass, committee sub. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, nay. All right, the ayes have it. We'll move on to the next one, which is Senate Bill 2476. And this is the shellfish aquaculture farms authorize the DMR to license. Any questions for, give you all an opportunity to look over that one? Any questions for General Spraggins? All right, so I have a motion for title sufficient do pass. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Bill passes. We'll send it out of the committee. Next is Senate Bill 2477, duties of Mississippi Department of Marine Resources utilize resources of all state institution of higher learning. I'll open it up to questions. Any thoughts on this? Yes, sir. Senator Hobson.
What was the language that was stricken?
Was it may or shall or?
No, I think it's Southern USM.
The current code section provides the DMR is to, quote, utilize the resources of the Gulf Coast Research Lab to the fullest extent possible. And then this is deleting that and allowing DMR to utilize other institutes, other state institutes of higher learning research.
General, you want to explain?
Yes, sir. What did this was written back years ago, and it was basically that we would go to GCRL and use GCRL. Well, GCRL is a part of Southern Mississippi. It's not Southern Mississippi. So it's not the whole agency. But what we're dealing with is we don't have any problem working with GCRL. We want to work with them. We work with them every day, and they're great. They're great people to work with, and we want to continue. But we also feel like we need to be able to take Mississippi State or any other university that works with us that does some form of aquaculture or something that deals with us to be able to go straight to them and not have to go to GCRL first. And that's the only thing we're working on with that. I have no intention of cutting GCRL out of what they're doing. We definitely love to work with them.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
GCRL and all institutions of higher learning?
I think it would, sir.
Because technically GCRL is a subsidiary
Right.
program.
And
it's not a higher learning. The budget does come through.
Right.
Separate.
I know it was brought to me in the House yesterday because they tabled this because of that one thing, is the possibility that we used to put the word that we could, if possible, use GCRL or any other. And I wouldn't have any problem with that.
Senator, would you like to entertain a motion?
I'll move to amend the vote language to include GCRL and the new language that's all provided.
Have a amendment by Senator Hobson to add the amendment to the bill. Any comment? Okay, do we have a motion to pass this bill as amended? Committee sub, no, as amendment. Yeah, pass the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Now we'll go back to the passage of the bill as amended. Motion with title sufficient do pass. Committee sub. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The bill will be passed out. All right, so we have our next bill is Senate Bill 2478. This is the combination seafood dealer process license, be separate into two licenses, and had an opportunity to talk with General Sprague just to explain to us why. And if I could, I'd like to give you the opportunity to explain it to the committee as to why you wanted to separate these two things.
As it stands now, if you buy a license, the processor and the dealer have the same license. And in a lot of situations, that's fine. And if you're a processor and you sell retail also, that's fine, that's okay. But if you're a dealer, you still have the same license that a processor has. And if you're selling shrimp on the side of the road, you have the same license that a processor has. And our inspections are different, and the way that we inspect people and we inspect the processors a whole lot different than we do just the dealer itself. And this would separate that. It does not take away from that person that if they want to have both licenses, they can. If they have a processor license, they can still do the dealer part of it. But a dealer cannot do processing. And the processing is whenever you alter any part of the product. So if you take the head off of it, you're a processor. If you shuck it, shell it, you're a processor. So that way you would have to have a proper license to do it, and it would give us a proper way of being able to inspect it.
Open up the floor to questions. Any concerns, any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion with title sufficient do pass. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, this bill will pass out of committee. All right, we have one left. Senate Bill 2511, saltwater shrimp captain's license issued by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources to delete requirement. Once again, I'd like to open the floor and let the General explain to us what this bill is, and then we'll entertain questions.
Yes, sir. This bill mainly is if you're a way it states now, everybody has to have a $10 captain license on a boat. And if the boat is licensed and has a captain, everybody doesn't have to have one. So this would be taking a restriction away from the shrimpers and oystermen and anyone else. And it was something that's not needed, and it would definitely make it a lot easier. And then someone just has to license their boat and the captain himself and not everybody else.
Right. Okay. Oh, questions? Anyone? All right. Entertain a motion. Title sufficient do pass the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Rise and report. Thank you. All opposed, all in favor, say aye. We'll rise and report. Thank you, Ms. Martha.